All right, we believe our opponents have not met the burden of proof, and here is why. They stated that patients shouldn't be able to suffer, like they shouldn't have to suffer through pain. But we're not talking about pain, and if we are going to die in 6 months, then that shouldn't be relevant. Our points state that the desire to kill oneself is a sign of depression and mental instability, and that the mental toll on doctors' performing duties required by this is substantial. If we are going to do physician-assisted suicide as a last resort, that doesn't matter, because there are still problems with how doctors are going to be treating the patient, such as misdiagnosis, which is what I mentioned, and how slippery the slope will come into effect because of the medical ethics that we are placing on doctors and the burden that we are making them go through by having the power to murder someone. This can get way out of hand, and there'll be loss of care for the elderly, the disabled, the minorities. My opponent also mentioned that the Hippocratic Oath and how physician-assisted suicide should still be a right to terminally ill patients, even though the Hippocratic Oath says otherwise. But according to Leon Cass, a professor at the University of Chicago, he stated in his article that the prohibition against killing patients stands as the first promise of self-restraint sworn to in the Hippocratic Oath as medicine's primary taboo. I will neither give a deadly drug to anybody if asked for it, nor will I make a suggestion to this effect. And before swearing the giving of poison when asked for it, the Hippocratic physician rejects the view that the patient's choice for death can make killing him right. This isn't right. For the physician, at least, human life and living bodies commands respect and reverence by its very nature. Also, that they said that we have a right to physician-assisted suicide, that patients, like that, this all affects us when we're going to die, and as we have a right to commit suicide when we're terminally ill, about to die in 6 months. But according to the Due Process Clause, we do not have a right to physician-assisted suicide. In the Washington versus Glucksberg U.S. Supreme Court majority opinion in 1997, the history of the law's treatment of assisted suicide in this country has been and continues to be one of the rejection of nearly all efforts to permit it. That being the case, our decision leads us to conclude that the asserted right that my opponents are mentioning to assistance in committing suicide is not a fundamental liberty, interest protected by the Due Process Clause. They do not have this liberty that my opponent suggested. Also, we have these laws to keep PAS illegal because the laws are trying to protect and prevent abuse. We're not trying to make anyone suffer. We're not trying to say that people should suffer, just like how they're saying that people shouldn't have to suffer. According to the International Task Force on Euthanasia and Assisted Suicide, they stated that the government should not have the right to give one group of people the power to kill another group of people, doctors to patients. Activists often claim that laws against euthanasia and assisted suicide are government-mandated suffering, but this claim would be similar to saying that laws against selling contaminated food are government-mandated starvation. Laws against euthanasia and assisted suicide are in place to prevent abuse and to protect people from unscrupulous doctors and others. They are not and never have been intended to make anyone suffer. So the solution to this problem is not to adopt the Oregon model, but to say that good palliative care is an alternative to PAS, and giving patients the right treatment and care up until they die will be able to have them die with dignity, and good palliative care is the only way to go. Thank you very much.